Thank you very much, Mr. Terhes, our dear colleagues. I will say a few sentences to update the public regarding our work in COVI committee. You may know that the president of the COVI committee has again invited Mr. Bourla, CEO of Pfizer, to come before our committee and to testify, and again he has refused. This is a very bad message from the pharmaceutical industry, and we will do everything we can to hold them accountable. This is arrogance, and this is undemocratic, unscientific behavior, which needs to be seized. What else is new? I need to say that I am very happy these days to see prominent doctors I have had an honor, an opportunity to work with, such as Dr. Peter McCulloch and Dr. Robert Malone, come back on Twitter. I had an opportunity to make some conferences or to participate in some conferences with them. As you may know, Mr. Robert Malone has, I think, 9 patents from the 1980s regarding mRNA technology, and Dr. Peter McCulloch is probably one of the best cardiologists in the world today. So these people have something to say. Why were they banned on Twitter? Where is democracy? Where is freedom of speech? So I am very pleased to see them back on Twitter. I am very happy that the policy on Twitter is changing, and I also call upon Mr. Elon Musk to use his resources to end this consumer fraud and scientific fraud. Also, there are also some other happenings in the United States. I very much welcome the last tweet by Governor of Florida, Mr. Ron DeSantis. I will quote, "Florida will hold the medical establishment accountable by, number 1, creating a grand jury to investigate mRNA shots and Big Pharma. 2, investigating cardiac-related deaths tied to the mRNA vaccines. 3, forming a public health integrity committee to oversee the medical establishment." End of quote. We in the COVI committee are very happy to see these new events coming from America. It is very encouraging. We are looking forward to work with good and honest people from the United States and all over the world, which are trying so hard to come to the bottom of this and to expose everything that was wrong and all the criminal elements in the COVID crisis. What I also need to mention is that in our committee it is very hard to get a straight answer. I will always remember my answer from Italian Commissioner Gentiloni on my straight question. He basically ignored it. This is a very ineffective instrument. We really need to try and work very hard to get something from these people. And it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be a mockery of a democracy, of procedures, and of transparency and everything else that we stand for. When we come to transparency, again, they are trying to show us the agreements, the signed agreements between the Commission and the Big Pharma, but you guess, again, it will be in a closed room with limited access, and of course the documents will be redacted. This is also a mockery, and I personally refuse to work under such terms. I will just remind you, to us, members of ENVI Committee, Committee for Environment, Public Health and Food Safety, such an offer was already made in the late 2020, if I'm not wrong, under similar conditions. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable, and we will not rest until we get the full, undisclosed, unredacted version of these contracts. Thank you.
Now, Commissioner Breton is very concerned, and our many Twitterati already said what he's willing. Is he willing back the censorship? Because on contrary, people are very happy that they can share the experience they had during COVID. And I personally was banned from YouTube because I shared experience of Australian government, because Australian government has a fund, it's official fund, for the victims of COVID injections. So my question is, do you think it's appropriate to have similar fund in Europe to compensate people who had damages to their health? Because it's a fund from 10,000 Australian dollars to $500,000. And then, of course, what Olaf is doing, I haven't heard from them. What is the meaning of this office, if they are influencing positively your cause? And the last question, it's about SMSs, of course, of Ursula von der Leyen, because recently there was Italian documentary, you have been to Italy, that husband of Madam von der Leyen, whose name is Heiko von der Leyen, he received funds from the European Commission. Could you confirm it? What have you heard about it? And the rector of Padua University said it was an amount of 320 million for the project. And the rector said that they were not aware that he is a husband of Madam von der Leyen. So this is a series of questions, and I would...
Sure. None of the commissioners should be the Minister of Truth, nor their office should be the Ministry of Truth. When it comes to the damage compensation fund, I think this should be a minimum of what should be done towards the people who were injured or unfortunately died using these products. No product is perfect, but to force basically the entire planet to use something that was never tested, it's a crime. Of course, there will be enormous issues, and that's why we are fighting for here, to find out scientific truth and the truth in general, in all aspects. You also mentioned Ursula von der Leyen. Well, of course, we know about Heiko von der Leyen and what he does, and we have put a lot of effort to investigate, and as soon as we get any information, it will be filed to the European institutions, especially PPO and Olaf. And I encourage all the institutions, especially the ones you mentioned, and of course journalists, to put their effort as well, because it is simply unethical and I believe, but not proven yet, to be not just conflict of interest, but corruption. What has happened, you know, the triangle between Pfizer and Heiko and Ursula. That's my opinion.